Hi, my name's Dee, your professor of woo-woo, and welcome to Sunchild Tarot, and welcome back to Barbara Bonvalot. Barbara, how are you doing? Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm okay, and yeah, thank you for having me, Dee.
It's my pleasure every time, don't worry. Now, we're going to be discussing the progressed moon, which I believe is a favourite topic of yours. Yeah. But first, a moment of adultery. Since it is the new moon in Capricorn today, I thought we could just, I would ask you your opinion of today's new moon. I have, as I've announced on this channel before, I've done no work on this new moon chart whatsoever, so I haven't got a lot to say at all. But before we go on to the progressed moon, if I just share the screen and bring the moon up, what's your opinion of this current moon then?
Yeah, this moon with in Capricorn, it feels like resuming the everything was on pause during the holidays, and because it's really today on Sunday. I know you have the bank holiday right there in the UK, yeah. But not here in Portugal. And so it feels like, okay, we're back to work, you know, like but even after the bank holiday, everybody's going to be back to work as usual. Yeah. And so it feels really like this back to the grind a bit. But it's actually not so. I feel it's work, but it's work with opportunity to get things done and to get ahead. Because of the trying to, I'm using my mouse as if this was my screen sharing. But yeah, we have the trine to Uranus.
Right. And yeah, there we go.
So, yeah, and so that feels like really do something different, do something new, do something bold that will bring you forward, but will bring you forward in like a movement for something that you want to last. I don't know if I was clear about that.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but it's just this energy of doing something creative, new, also risky, but with a very realistic notion of what's going on, because it's Capricorn. Capricorn is very feet on the ground, you know, just very no nonsense kind of sign. And so that's my feelings. Like, yeah, just take that step. I write the new moon articles every month, and the title for this new moon was One Bold Step. Like, take that step, that because this is not going to be something that it's just, oh, you just thought about. This is something you probably have, a change you have been thinking about for some time, and now it's really the time during this lunation. It's the time to get it done, and to just give that one step that will make the difference. Do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, well, it's more of a question. So moon trine Uranus, Uranus being, although it's in an earth sign, that unexpectedness, moon being feelings, but in the structure sign of Capricorn. Is it try something new, you might actually like it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's like it, but it's like, it's something, you know, it has to be done. It's something, because with the moon in Capricorn, I mean, it's really not much about like, you know, like if you're thinking like, associating that with pleasure or joy, or that is not a moon in Capricorn. You know, that's the moon in Capricorn is just, somebody needs to take care of this, and I'm here, I'm the one, you know. So, but it's not about liking. So
the way I don't know. Thinking was more in terms of satisfaction. You know, like those jobs you really hate doing, but you're glad that they're done when they're done.
Yes, yes, you're glad they're done when they're done. So it's not
Yeah.
something that I want to do. I'm going to enjoy doing this. I'm going to like doing this. But it's like, I know I have to do this, and it's going to feel very satisfactory once I've done it. But it's not going to be a pleasurable thing. Actually, and when I write about the new moons, I'm always thinking about what's happening in my life, what's happening in people's lives around me that I know, clients or friends or whatever. And I was thinking about a couple of scenarios for this, like maybe it's something you have to enter, something you have to begin. Maybe it's something you have to break up, like a bad habit you have to break up. You have to be, maybe you have to own something. Maybe you have to own your self-respect again. Maybe you have to own your dignity again. And for that, you have to really make things clear and just move on from something that is not healthy. Maybe it's something you've been avoiding doing because it's so big, and it's like, yeah, it's a bit daunting to, oh my God, an enterprise I am beginning here. I don't know if I have the strength, the stamina to, but then it's time. And so, yeah, it's this idea of just get on with it. You have to do it, and you're going to be happy after you do it.
And
Once
there's a
it's
sense
done,
of
as you said.
results, isn't there? With Jupiter
Yeah.
just going into Pisces, going, hi, I'm here, I'm going to make things bigger.
Yeah, it's the Jupiter in Pisces. I think it gives really this new year. So it gives this lunation a really different feeling from last year. So, and so it marks like this passage. Okay, this is something new, and something maybe you have been dreaming about, or something that will allow you to dream again. Like there is this different. But it's about just expanding and giving. I'm always thinking about different scenarios and different realities, because different contexts, and it could be just getting out of something that will make you breathe again, that will make you feel free again, or so getting out of something that was constraining you, and then you feel free again, or beginning something that will make you grow, that will like expand your notion of what is possible with Jupiter in Pisces. But that is definitely this shift to the that is also a difference from last year. And so it's this new moon really feels like a new year, like with those changes.
Just looking at the chart, I noticed there's a quintile which has been going on for a while between Jupiter and Uranus, but also a biquintile between Uranus and Mars. So is that allow your whatever it is that you're doing, allow your creativity to flow with it, even if it's a job that it's like, oh God, I've got to do that. Even if it is just I've got to clean the kitchen. Use something new, find a new way of doing it, and there should be that satisfaction within it.
Take a risk. I mean, it's because it's not, and also the sextile between Mars and Saturn, Mars in Sagittarius, like really bold Mars and really adventurous, and Saturn, the ruler of the new moon. It's really just take a risk, because it's not so crazy. It's not such a it's not such a dangerous risk. It's a very calculated risk, and so you have thought about this, and so just go and do it.
Just get on with it already.
Yeah, it's it's time. You can't postpone it any longer. And then the whole this decision, this step probably has to do with something that is going on in Capricorn, with something that is already going on in your life because of the Venus retrograding in Capricorn. So that is also bringing up a lot of stuff, a lot of heavy emotional stuff, and that uncovering of things, of between relationships, partnerships, whatever, that probably made you think about changes that you need to do, about, and not, I'm talking about changes, but it can also be just owning something, just own your responsibility, even if not about the situation, but about taking care of yourself, about preserving and respecting your own boundaries. Just own it and do what you have to do. And yeah, so this probably about something that has been going on for about a month, a couple of weeks, with the Venus retrograding in Capricorn.
So
Also,
despite the, oh my God, Capricorn is still going on, which brought us the wonders of 2020 and the wonders of 2021, and the Venus Pluto, like you say, unearthing all sorts of secrets and creating transformations with relationships, how you're relating to value, how you are relating to beauty, how you are relating to people. All in all, this looks like quite a cheerful new moon, I would say.
yeah, again, cheerful is maybe not the word I would use, but
Comparison.
sorry?
In comparison to 2020 and 2021, this is cheerful.
Yeah, it's like it's own it, just take responsibility for what is yours and move forward. Yeah. And so it's a breakthrough, maybe more than cheerful joy, or but it's just get on with it and move ahead. Just stop moaning, stop just punishing yourself for something that you maybe was your mistake before, but just move on with it. It's really and it's about seriousness. Again, it's Capricorn. It's about just taking things seriously, and I for me, Saturn is all about owning your actions, and be it about what you've done and just owning the consequences, or about where you want to go and owning the actions that you need to do to get there. And so this is really about just take care of yourself by just doing what needs to be done. It's really, but it's more than anything, it's moving forward. It's just get on with it.
That's a wonderful note to wrap that one up. So we'll move on to we'll stop being adulterous to David now. I will put a link. David finally has a video on his own channel. He's finally done it. He's doing his in-depth analysis of this new moon. So that's why we're moving on so quickly. David's got it covered. The link will be down below in the description. And now, Barbara, the stage is yours. Tell me about the progressed moon. Look, just to start with, for any of our viewers that don't know, what is the progressed chart?
So the progress chart, the secondary progress or secondary progressions, is a technique that corresponds the transits of one day after your birth to 1 year. So the transits of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days after your birth will be the secondary progressions of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years after your birth. That is something I began using in my early practice, but it didn't really speak to me until I really understood the sorry, got a little until I understood the lunation cycle, the progress lunation cycle. And that is, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And began understanding and looking at my own progressed moon and with clients, and it really works. And it's silly, but it's like I'm always surprised. I go, oh my God, astrology really works.
That wonderful concept of astrology good.
Yeah. And Yeah, and so it gives you like a background where everything else is happening, where your perfections, your perfections are happening, your transits are happening, and so it gives you this a more I call it background. It's not subtler, but is because it's so big. It maybe it's not so visible or so like transits, for example, but it's really very important, and you can see the cycle, whether you're waning cycle or a waxing cycle. It's really interesting.
So like an overview, you would say,
Yes,
of
yes,
periods of your life.
yes. It's I don't. Yeah, I'm thinking. It's like, when you have um yeah, I'm just thinking about the theater stage. You have a lot the scenario, but then you have like this background, uh yeah, where other stuff is happening, but then there is always this background there that just gives
Yeah.
a tone to the thing, to the action. And yeah, it's that feeling with the new moon, with sorry, with the progress moon.
Now this has been mentioned a lot on various astrology videos on YouTube recently anyway, because Ksenia Moore has been mentioning about if you are born with Venus retrograde natally, don't worry, it turns direct in your progress chart eventually. And also last year, Astro Victor did a wonderful workshop on declinations of planets within the progress chart. When a planet moves out of bounds and then back in is also another wonderful indicator. So we're focusing on the moon today. So I was born under a full moon. So in my progress chart, the moon immediately starts waning. What would be the difference between the waning and, say, the waxing moon within the progress chart?
Well, if the wanings, well, if I put it the other way around, the waning cycle, you're going from dark to light, and that is, I think, Dane Rudyard, he associated this half cycle with the form, with gaining form, and getting aware of form. And then the waning cycle is going from light to dark.
Right.
So
waxing dark to light, waning light.
Yeah, exactly. So the waning cycle is not about form anymore, not about material things. It's more about consciousness and getting a meaning out of what you've learned before. So in your case, you had the first, I would say, 15 years, maybe 16 years of your life gaining in consciousness, so learning about meaning, and not so much about form, which is a bit counterintuitive to the to the process that happens in the first years of life, which is really about getting, just growing up and getting your height and form and just learning everything. But it probably had to do a lot with just understanding things around you in your case. So the first 15 years until you got to the new moon is about understanding things around you and making sense of things around you. And so that's the biggest difference with the waning half cycle, with the waning half cycle and the waxing half cycle.
So moving on from there, as you would, the other thing that would happen to a moon, obviously, is it changes signs. So that is going to happen a lot more frequently within your progress chart, isn't it? Thinking about it.
Yeah, about 2.5 years. 2 years and something, depending on the speed of the moon. But yes, and that is also very important, because that is going to show you where your focus, your emotional focus, your emotional goings on inside, you know, is happening, and then relating that to the phase of the moon, to that is happening in that sign. It's going to give you again the background for whatever is happening with transits, perfections, etc. But that is super important. The thing with the progressionation is that you don't need a very accurate time to follow the cycle.
Yeah.
But if you're following the moon entering and leaving signs and the exact points, then you would need a more then you would need the time more precisely. Yes.
Right. I see what I mean. So in general, of an overview, when you're looking at like within decades,
Yeah.
then you're not too worried about birth time. But if you're looking in those 2.5 year intervals, then that a correct birth time would be a lot more appropriate.
Yeah. And but again, because this is such a large cycle, you can give a client a lot, just even if the time is not so accurate. Like, and when I say so accurate, maybe within an hour or so, you can take a lot out of the lunation cycle, the progressed lunation cycle. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to talk about the phases, or do you have any other questions?
Yes, let's talk about the phases. I'm also dying to ask about out of bounds and void of course. But yeah, let's stick with the phases first.
Oh, that is something. Yeah, but yeah, that is something I haven't actually looked into. But I think it's something to study. Yeah, the phases. So we begin with the new moon. That would be the first phase, but that is not necessarily the phase where everybody starts. Like in your case, you start with a full moon, but after you're probably around 15 years old, you had a new moon, and the new moon is really interesting. I usually describe it as like traveling in a tunnel, and in the new moon, you're getting to that halfway in the tunnel where you cannot see the light behind you where you've entered, but you can't see the light ahead of you yet. And so it's really confusing. It's really you have no definition. You don't really know where you're going. You understand that you're not anymore where you once were. Like, for example, before my last new moon, I just couldn't even have plants in the house because they would die. You know, I just couldn't.
You were sucking all the light out of the building.
Yeah, it's just the cycle is ending. So it's really not to anything to start. Even I still had 2 cats, and those other cats were both belonged to the last cycle. They did not pass on they did not come forth to this cycle. But yeah, it's this and other things. I mean, I'm talking about these things, but also about work professionally and etc. It's a lot of things that were left on that side, on that last cycle, and did not come with me to the new moon or to the new cycle. But the new moon is this phase where you really you just really can't see anything. And yeah, the moon is dark. With the new moon at night, you just can't see anything. There is no definition. Just everything is this big blur, you know. And so it's natural when some people. It happened a couple of times when people came to me. Oh, I'm in this period where I really don't know where I'm going. I can't see anything, and I go look to the progressed moon, and there they are, new moon, progressed new moon. It's okay that you don't see anything. It's really a phase to just go within.
That's what I was going to ask. What would you advise somebody during that? Because that would be my instinct to say, it's okay. You're not supposed to see anything right now. Just go with it. Like we were saying, get on with it for the new moon. With this new moon, it's just go with it for a while. Light will come.
It depends on the chart. I have seen like people with a lot of fire, they have more it's maybe more difficult to go through this phase, because they just want to go ahead, they just want to do and get ahead. And in this phase where the energy is just the opposite, you have to go within and just close your eyes and stay and go within. You don't have to see. It's not so comfortable for someone with, but that is what you have to do.
So
or what you're.
On that note of people with fire, that is more difficult to do. What about the element of your progressed new moon? Or, whether it was in a cardinal or mutable or fixed sign, what would that affect? Well, I mean, of course it will, but how would that affect?
Yeah, I mean, that is so, again, that is so personal because of the combinations.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the new moon will just give you the topic for the next 30 years, 29, 30 years ahead. And so there is, I was just thinking about someone, it was, there's this Portuguese writer, he won the literature Nobel Prize, and he actually published his the book that would be like the huge success when he was in a balsamic moon. So like just at the end of the cycle, when it's supposed to be getting dark, but this was he had a Cancer moon, so the progress moon was in Cancer, and he published it, and Cancer was his 5th house, and so it was a very creative. The thing is, this book that I'm talking about, it was in 1982. It was the first book where it was a book for which the public recognized him for his very specific style. So he's got his, I'm talking about, I don't know if I said the name, José Saramago, and he has a very, very specific style of writing, or had. And this was the book where he just got very famous, and his style was recognized. So it was a balsamic moon, true. It was getting to the end of a cycle, but it was in his 5th house in Cancer, so a very creative sign, a very visible house, because it's trining descendant, and it's a very, it's the house of a stage. I just associated the 5th house as the stage, where you are seen. And so yes, it's going to depend on the signs and the energy of the signs, and what have you done before, and other cycles also. So just entering to the sign and the element thing, that is going to give a tone to what's happening in that phase. Yes, definitely.
But you were saying that that's more likely to give a tone for the next 30 years as a whole, rather than the next 2.5 while you're there in the darkness of the new moon.
If we're talking about the new moon, yes. So the new moon, the sign of the new moon, in his case, so he had the balsamic moon. This was happening during his balsamic moon in Cancer, and then the new moon happened in Leo, and like it was from there on that he got really famous, internationally famous, and eventually with just before the full moon of that cycle, he won the Nobel Prize. So it's really, and so it began in Leo new moon, and so this Leo new moon in the 6th was not so invisible as it would have been expected, because it was Leo again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives you, it's very important, the signs that is, but it's still, it's like, when you have, when you have a big hit and then you go, where am I going next after this? It probably had a phase there where that was the feeling, like where he also wanted to rest, and that would have been the new moon, but marked the new cycle. The Leo moon marked the new cycle, which would have been of great success and visibility for him.
But thinking about it in a progressed chart as well, we tend to consider that the lunations are about 3 days long, don't we? Because we count, especially with the full moon, then you say day before, day of, day after. And with the new moon, to a great extent, there's day before, day of, and day after as well, isn't there? So these new moon and full moon periods, they are lasting around 3 years of our lives.
Yes, I just wanted to, there is one thing that that really bothers me, and it's the way I have to talk about this. Sorry, I knew I would have to talk about this. And that is how the word lunation is used. Lunation is actually the whole cycle.
Okay.
So when we're talking about one lunation, we're talking about the whole cycle from one new moon until the next new moon. So that is one thing.
Okay.
But yeah, everybody in astrology talks about lunation like as just the moments, as the phases, and they're actually, lunation is actually the whole cycle. I mean, just look it up in any dictionary.
Okay. No, I seriously didn't know that. So yeah, that's me told. But anyway, back to the question.
No, but that's something that everybody uses lunation like that, and I get no. But yeah, so that is one thing. The other thing is I consider the period, the phase, from the moment the phase begins. So the new moon would be in effect at the moment of the new moon, for 3 days onward until the crescent moon, or the waxing crescent. And so until the new,
specify what you mean then. So you're talking day of, day after, and day after that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, you can have some feeling about what's coming already, because again, it's 30 years. It's a very long cycle, and you can't just go like, oh, it begins here, this phase, and so and just life itself. I mean, it's it's an organic, ongoing thing that's always happening. It's not, doesn't have like timings, like this second on. But yeah, so the new moon, this idea of beginning, is from the new moon for to the next 3.5 years. And so before the new moon, you would have the balsamic moon, which is when the moon is really, really waning and losing light until it gets really, really dark. But the thing is, when the moon is really dark before the new moon and after and like 1 year, 2 years after the new moon, you can't see anything at night. And so it's really dark. So it's normal that you still have that feeling of I really don't know where I'm going. Yeah. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, about the new moon, and I bought Chris Brannan's course just like 1 month before my progressed new moon, and so it was really like marking this new moon in my, is it in my 9th? I think it was in my 9th house.
It would figure, wouldn't it?
Sorry?
It would figure if it was
in yeah. And so, but yeah, but I usually so the new moon is from 0 degrees until the moon gets to 45 degrees of the sun. So that would be the waning, the waxing crescent. And there on the full moon is the opposition until, so the full moon phase would be the opposition for and then 3-4 years after. that's where that doesn't mean that the process doesn't happen a bit before, but to consider the phase, I consider the phase from the moment when of the exact aspect, and then 3-4 years after. Yeah.
So just before we go to talk about the progressed full moon, then, with you saying that the progressed new moon happened in your 9th house, so with a progressed chart, do you look at the houses of that individual chart with because each of those charts will have an ascendant, or are you looking at natal houses when you are reading the progressed chart?
I'm looking at natal houses, yes. Right. I'm looking at the passage of the moon through the natal houses, and so the natal house of the new moon is the theme that I take into consideration to make the analysis. Yeah. Would
you use the progressed houses at any point during that for each individual year?
I'm not using them right now. I was just thinking, would I do it in the future? I don't know. It's like I always tell my students, it's like when you're learning to juggle with 3 balls, don't try to put a 4th ball, And so I am aware of my limitations, and this is just as much as I can handle right now, And so I don't know. Maybe I do that in the future when I'm totally comfortable with the absolutely comfortable with everything I'm doing now. But not now. I'm not doing that now. No.
Fair enough. That makes sense. So what about the full moon then?
Yeah, the full moon. When you get, so you have just before the full moon, the quarter moon, and both quarters. I'm just gonna. Those are moments of tension, and those are. It's like the quarter moon would be like the teenage crisis years. Like you want to move forward, but you still want the comfort that you had before, and so it's like a moment, a shifting moment. And if you think about what is happening in the quarter moons, in the first quarter, the moon is going from darker to lighter. So in the first quarter, the moon is coming from a phase when it's mostly dark to a phase where it will be mostly light. And so yeah, it's this shifting from, and then the last quarter would be the opposite, right? But so the quarters are always moments of tension, and usually there is like choices to be made, and like things that have to be left behind in order to keep going forward. The full moon is it's really interesting because mostly is, and if you think about the full moon at night, everything is lit up. You can see things. Things are well, they're not as defined as by day, true, but you have a light that you didn't have with the new moon, and there is this notion of this is where my life is at right now with a full moon, and you might like it, or you might realize this is not where I wanted to be. And that's what happened to me, the latter. Like, I don't think this is where I want to be. I usually describe it as like with the full moon, you got to the top of the mountain, and at the top of the mountain is the place where you can actually see what you've done, where you are. You have the full 360 view. And that is exposure on one hand also, but with the exposure comes vulnerability, because you're really there and your life is there for you to see as well. And the thing is, even if you got to the top of the mountain, even if you realize you were climbing the wrong mountain, you can always decide on which side of the mountain you want to go down, just planning the next cycle. And so you can just choose, maybe I want to, I don't like this mountain where I am. I would like to go south. And then you just choose to go down on the south side of the mountain instead of just going down the north side and then having to do all this.
So it's a point where you are equipped to make those decisions about the future direction of your life, rather than the, well, I don't know, because I can't see out.
Yeah, I know, it's totally, it's like I can see, and I can see how my life is now. I can see what uh what I've got from life and so far. I can see all my choices to this point were not taking me to where I need to be. Even, I mean, and we could discuss the philosophical meaning of that, but not now. But you know, it's like, yeah, I know I've made these choices that led me here, but I don't know if I want to be here anymore. But then you see, okay, now I know I don't want to be here. I didn't know that before, you know. And so it's this place of consciousness. It's this place of everything is clear and defined. And even if you don't like it, at least you see it, you know. And so that makes you equipped, as I said, to make better choices for the future. Totally.
Is there anything else you want to add about the progressed moon?
No, I mean, I think this are the main phases.
It's a nice introduction, that, isn't it? So
Yeah. While it's really it's always so interesting when I use it in consultations, because I mean it makes so much sense for the clients, and that's really that really makes me, oh, good. So that you understand that now is the time for this, that time was the time for that. And yeah, and I just wanted to add, I'm going to give a workshop at AFAN on the 30th of this month of January. I don't know exactly the time, but just check out AFAN. I think it's only for AFAN members. So just for AFAN members. AFAN is the Association for Astrological Networking, for those who don't know. And I really like the spirit of AFAN. It's a very community, horizontal structure kind of feeling. I really like that. And yeah, I'm going to be doing this, talking about the progressed lunation on the 30th.
Are the links available? Because if they are, I will put them in the description.
Not yet. I was checking that out. There isn't yet a link for the workshop, but I'm sure they'll put it up soon enough.
So I'll put down below the AFAN website link then, and obviously all your links like we did the other day. Well, you've really encouraged me to now go and have a look at my progressed chart, specifically my progressed moon, to make sense of some of the Venus-Pluto stuff that's been going on for me. Because, you know, have they been life-shattering events that are really going to change things into a new direction, or are they simply a Venus is retrograde, we're going over some stuff, and once Venus goes direct, just like when you get that bad haircut and then you think, oh my God, what have I done? Notice Venus retrograde has hit me, no more mustache, or you know, but when you have some of those massive, what appear at the time to be massive events, can looking at where your progressed moon is and what it's doing and what phase it's going through help inform you as to what is the real severity of this event? Is this something that's going to affect me for the next 30 years of my life? Yeah. Or is it just something that's affecting me for the next 3 months? You know, there's, would you say that was a good tool to use, that progressed moon?
Yeah, definitely. And just to, even if something seems like, or has the air, the looks of a full moon, if you actually look at it and find it, for example, the example I was telling you about José Saramago, and you find it was a balsamic moon, that may give you information about, okay, so this next lunation cycle, if that was the balsamic moon, oh wow, what the next lunation cycle is going to be like. I was just remembering.
Why don't you?
Sorry?
Cheer me up. Why don't you?
Yeah. And I was for example, Buzz Aldrin was the second guy to step on the moon. He the moon landing was actually on his new moon in Pisces in the 10th.
All right. Okay.
So it was the beginning of a cycle. You would expect, oh, it would be like a moment of achievement, of success, like a full moon. It was in his 10th house, but it was a new moon, and so that was the beginning of a cycle, and so that was the beginning of a really other part of his life. And so yeah, just understanding the events on this part of the cycle, on which part of the cycle they are, that really helps to bring meaning, I think, to what's happening.
That could be really comforting. Or like you say, if you're in the Balsamic Moon, is hang on a minute, I'm here right now and I'm about to be plunged into darkness, But again, it's like, stick with it. Don't worry that you can't understand what's going on around you.
I mean, there are good things to take out of darkness. Darkness makes you look inside. It's like you don't have the references outside to guide you. And so you really need to go inside and look, what is it here that will help me keep going, that I can hang on to, and that I maybe need to find in order to use for the rest of the way, So there are great things in the dark to happen in the dark.
That's a perfect place to end this. So do come back to this video, because I will be putting the link for the workshop as soon as AFAN publish it. In the meantime, I'll put all Barbara's links down there. I'll put the AFAN link down there as well. Obviously, it's YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And tell us what you think, or tell us about your experiences with the progressed moon, because we're all hungry as astrologers. We're all hungry for those experiences, because it's more stories to help us understand the symbolisms that are going on. So thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And happy new moon, and good luck with wherever you are on your progressed moon cycle.